Here we go.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, guten tag. How you doing? What's up, yo, yo, yo? This is another episode of Three Black Pratt Grads. I'm Greg Cleghorn. This is my good friend Mark Skinner. I don't know where he is, but we're doing the Zoom thing. Mark Skinner on the Skype and Kenny Nelson on the left there. And yeah, Pratt, as in Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, the art school with the hostess with the mostess, etc. Anyway, hey, we are three black photographers. We've been shooting since many moons, and we still get together, and we've been working in the photography industry for uh, umpteen years since college. I'm currently working on getting some implants, so if I drool a little bit, just kind of look away, and I'll take care of it. Now, today's topic, we are talking about just completely hypothetical. Let's say we hit the lotto or we're very successful in what we're doing. We have unlimited resources or a couple of good coding friends. What photography app would we come up with to enhance or what sort of a photography app would we create? And it's wide open. This is more of a food for thought episode, and we've been kicking the idea back and forth, and we're not really come up with like a definitive 101. But let's see. We're gonna throw it over you, Mr. Nelson.
Okay. Well, I think one of them, I guess, okay, since you mentioned that it's if we were to win the lottery, and that would be the case, so we didn't discuss that beforehand, but now that I know that we would have won the lottery in order to take this on, that
Okay.
presents different models. So, had I won the lottery and it was a lot of money, and I had someone who was able to, or if I were able to develop the perfect app, it would be the Do It All app.
Ooh.
Okay. And that means that from the moment I offload the image into my uh, computer program, it would take care of everything that needs to be done in order for me to do nothing at the end. All right.
Wow.
So, all right. Okay.
Okay,
So,
and just a cautionary tale. This is what do you call that? Not copyrighted, trademark. So any ideas, somebody gets this, and no stealing our ideas. It's
uh,
But
intellectual property.
I,
Go
I
ahead.
think you'll be able to do something like that already, Ken. Use
well, I don't know, but hear me
Well,
out.
I like the idea, and
Do this,
all
right?
do it
Okay.
all
Right.
done app. Go ahead. What would it do?
Right, from soup to nuts, everything from the beginning to the end. Okay, all you have to do is just take your photograph, bring it back to an SD card, pop your SD card into your photo app, and your photo app does everything that you can possibly imagine that you'd want to do with that image.
Why?
Okay, so
Why? wh-
let me
Right.
go
Go
through the
ahead. Go
process.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Depending
This
on what
sounds
your
like
life
fun.
light is, right? If you're an artist, it will take care of some prerequisite for your artwork. If you are on social media, it would take every option that you have for social media and place it into the proper platform. Okay, you don't have to sign in to do anything. Okay, it'll do it on its own. Then it will actually read your image to add metadata to it. All right. You can actually use some predefined metadata, but for the most part, it'll know it by reading your images, right? Based on the history of what you've done, right? Then it would also option you. All you have to do, because this will require you to say yes or no, which is to actually print it. So it would automatically send the digital file either to your home printer or to an outside printer for printing with pre-prescribed data or sizes, and also the substrate that you would want it printed on. Right? So there's nothing for you there. Of course, prior to that, it would also automatically expose or it would sort of modify your image to your specs, predefined specs, so that you wouldn't have to think about it. All you'd have to do is just, again, download it. It would automatically adjust to your pre-prescribed specs, which in some cases some do, and then do all the other things that I just told you it would do. So the only thing you'd have to do is just pay for it. And then, of course, even paying for it would be easier if you're submitting it to an outside thing because you'd already have an account. So it automatically logs you in, says, your default setting is 16 by 20, full frame without any borders, and boom, done. Automatically tells your distributor where you want it shipped to because it's going to, well, let's say default is going to be shipped back to you. It already does that. The only thing you're going to have to wait for is the notification email that says it's on its way back.
That's
So
either a really good assistant or a hot folder. Because I think the only thing that I don't know if you can do it now, probably can. But the only thing that's not in what you've outlined, technically, thus far from what I remember, is the importing of the data from the SD card. I'm sure someone's already figured out how to do that. You put the card in the
Bring
computer.
up your volume, Mark. You're getting low.
You can create a hot folder, and I did that years ago with Minolta, where you would have a hot folder. People could drop their documents into the hot folder, and then those hot folders at a print shop. Then there were macros written by the programmer there, and what would happen was it did everything it was supposed to do for printing. But that was a closed shop, and they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they weren't bringing in images with a variety of lighting and all of that like you would be doing. But
is that like the automating? Because you throw stuff in Photoshop or in Lightroom, you can automate it so it knows you've already told it, okay, lighten here, darken here, highlight, da da da.
Right.
So it's already automated. A macro, of course, yeah, but
macros. But in this case, with the hot folder, it wasn't so much Photoshop. This was some sort of pre-flight software. I don't remember the names of those at this point, but it's called pre-flighting. They would have
I remember that.
You put your document. Usually it was a Quark document back then. These days, I'm sure it's a PageMaker, and you put it in the document with the driver embedded, so a PostScript file, and then the computers would take over and then send all of that data where it needed to go to output properly. I mean, it's still kind of pre-fight it visually by checking color and so forth, but that kind of be done. I think what you're talking about though is a really good assistant because you want
because if you had the money and the wherewithal to get it done, the less you'd have to do, the better. So for every press of a button that you don't have to do, that's just one thing that makes it easier. So therefore, that's why I'm saying the hot folder option would not be an issue or an item because we would remove the option of a hot folder in place of you just pressing a button that dictates that hot folder action.
So you're doing it now with transferring images directly to a phone, so you could use your phone as a router.
Yeah, but I'm going even easier than that because that's one thing you don't want to do. You just want to take your SD card out, pop it in there, have all the images come into your application, hit one button, and have it be done. Okay.
Why even bother with the SD card? Why not put the Wi-Fi on your camera? They already have that. So once you take a picture, it's already zapped to wherever you want.
One of the things that's missing that has to be determined is whether you want that image to go that route or not. So if you were to automatically download your file, you'd have to tag it in some way while you're shooting it to have that action take place. So
that's already in the menu of the camera. Most cameras are. Go ahead.
Well, you wouldn't do it on the fly, Greg, because you'd have to like you're shooting it. You can't tag the file while you're shooting it. You'd have to somehow tag it after the fact in order to know which one you want to go that route. So that's the only drawback for it, which is you have to decide which one it is. That's why I would wait to download that into the app,
because you're
to make that decision.
Right, but you're talking about working in a closed system where the creator is the final arbiter of the image. They're the person who creates the everything. The final output, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I sort of do that now because I don't really modify my images to any great degree when I outsource it to have it printed, and it's pretty daggone accurate. So once I see it here, I'm like, okay, that I know my output over in Manhattan is going to be very close, if not spot on. So
Right.
that's why I don't even think about the idea of, oh yeah, are they going to be a little bit too magenta? They might be, but it's within tolerances, so I don't worry about it. Matter of fact, everything that I've done so far, which I've done about 10 pieces, nothing has been color bad. Matter of fact, that most of it has been color accurate, and that's without testing.
Right.
Yeah,
And as an artist, you keep that, that level all the way through the entire process.
yeah,
You're not subject to verification and uh, the opinions of other
yeah,
clients
right,
in that way. What you produce is what is accepted.
yeah, yeah.
So are you talking like training the app or having like a partial AI app, like a
I'm
do-it-yourself, like Mark was saying, an assistant?
Yeah,
So
that's basically right. Again, the umbrella that we're talking about is an app. So that app would do all of that, be that assistant that Mark talks about. And the time it would be handed off is when it's printing out locally to my home printer, or it's printing out away at a local print shop, at a print shop. That would be the determining factor, outside or inside. In the
hmm,
absence of an internal printer, they would automatically default to being printed outside.
okay,
And I have a defined size, so I would know that my images will not be printed lower than 16 by 20. So 16 by 20 would be my base image, my base size, right? So default size would automatically say, unless there's another option, you can option in another button if you want to, or if you don't, you don't. Or you can actually option for multiple sizes on the same run. One 16 by 20, one 20 by 24, or one 20 by 30. Done.
hmm, hmm,
So that would be my wish app.
okay, like a virtual assistant app, a
Yeah,
photographic virtual. Okay, cool.
right. And again, it
I
would
like it.
with what a lot of other people want who are not uh, professionally professional
It's on.
photographers, or at
Yeah,
least at pro amateur, or whatever it is. So
prosumer.
prosumer, thank you. Yeah.
So so it'd be kind of a customizable. You could have different bells and whistles for your skill level. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think it would come with, right. Well, you could, right, because then it would be sellable to many people.
Right,
Because the fact
right,
is, the less input that one has to do, the easier it is for them to operate it.
right.
You know,
Most folks want just like a push button, one touch,
right,
one stop shop. Yeah, yeah.
right.
Okay, all
And
right.
it's just that someone who has the wherewithal to understand all the ins and outs of what they need would have more available assets in order to know what they want, or vary their output for whatever they want, than
Right.
someone who doesn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All
it.
right.
Hey.
I kind of like that.
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Skinner, what do you got?
For me, it's weird because I talked to you guys about this a little bit before. I just like sort of a universal remote for the camera, and I hate to put it in those terms, but in all honesty, I would love to have something that allows you to view. I mean, there's a lot of situations where one of the major complaints about some of the new cameras is that they don't have articulating backs. And when we started, there was no way to preview your image anyway. So, it's kind of funny to hear people talk about that. But what I would like is something that allows me the opportunity to create a waist level finder on any camera that I need out of my phone, because quite honestly, it seems very redundant to buy a camera with a viewfinder, and then because it doesn't articulate, I'm either bending down to take a photo, or I'm trying to find some accessory to do that, and I don't think it's really, I mean, it works in some cases, but if you have a variety of cameras, that's not really it. And I'd like to be able to have access to the full suite of features that are in each camera. So when I say universal, it's not really that, but for each of the cameras that I use, I'd like an app that is really specific, that affords me the opportunity to really control the camera from the phone as if the phone had the same functionality as the camera, but not using the camera's phone, but to just allow it to be a true remote control for it.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So I could set up a timer. Like let's say I have one camera on a tripod. I want to take a family picture. I could use that to not only preview with remote, but I could set the timer. I could specify what color balance or what color rendering. I could specify what ISO. I could specify what shutter speed, and all of that with the same similar control setup to the camera that I'm working with. And it doesn't have to be a phone. It could be like an iPad mini, something like that. That's really comprehensive and works easily without having to go through a lot of machinations with Bluetooth and networking and logging in and all the rest of that jazz. Now, I got to confess, between the time you talked about the topic and now, I happen to see a guy on another podcast who actually covered the same topic. So some of what I'm
Really?
down to, yeah. So a guy, I watch him a lot, a guy named Hugh Brownstone. He has a podcast called, was it Three Blind Men and an Elephant?
Yeah.
And, he does a lot of camera reviews and lens reviews. And he just talked about that this week as well. But it's something that, I talked to you guys about a while ago for one of my cameras. And I even had to change phones in order to get it to work. So, it's an issue. But the only problem I can see is that with universal interface, you have the ability to hack. So I don't necessarily want my images while I'm photographing being pulled from the camera before I've even had a chance to kind of, look at them later. And that's the risk you take when you have that kind of Wi-Fi connectivity, and other people are around with the same tools like the phone. So that's it.
Yeah, but I'm
Well,
thinking that with,
that's you Skinner. You always look at the dark side of stuff, but that's necessary. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Well,
ahead, Jim.
I look at those things to find out what issues can come up prior to distributing. Let's say we created the app and it was distributed. You don't want to find out that you don't want to be in a situation where you've created a payment system for your phone, and as you've gone into the subway, they've accidentally snatched money from the phone. You don't want to be that person or that company. So by the same token, you don't want to be someone who's created an application for your camera, right? You don't want to be, and at the same time have images posted where you didn't want to post them because someone was able to pull or extract from your image capture device images before you even knew really what you got. Because if you photograph 30 images, you go home, you take a look at them. By the time you go home and do the things that most photographers do, you look at them and examine them. Someone who doesn't have any investment in that photographic experience of yours, if the technology is universal, they can extract the data and post it before you even had a chance to really contemplate the quality of your work.
Okay, so you're saying Ixnay on the Wi-Fi, nay, huh?
Not Ixnay, but there should be some way to make sure it's encrypted or secure. But that's a very huge undertaking. But you said if money was no object, that's what I
Yeah,
would do.
money no object.
Yeah.
If you have
And,
what would
and this is all so I can get a waist level finder.
why is that
So,
so important?
yeah,
that's important to me because I really miss that waist level finder experience that the
Like
mechanical.
the Rolleiflex,
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was that?
like the Rolly.
Not the Rolly, like the Hasselblad. I mean, I never had a Rolly, but the Hasselblad. And I really miss that. Even with the contemporary Hasselblads, if you kind of want a waist level finder, you have to buy the new one, which is $6,000, right? Before the lens, and then you have to buy the slightly older one, which is something between 20 something and 40 something, and that's a lot of
Yeah,
money.
I've always been the budget guy. I'd go with the Rolly before I get the house. You guys are the high ticket fellas, but go
Right,
ahead.
but it's not so much high ticket as much as high quality. I mean, there's a particular truth to a photographic experience. I mean, this is a little off topic, but there's a form factor that we all kind of love. You know, there are people who love the rangefinder, people who love the DSLR or the SLR, and there's some people who love the waist level finder experience, so much so that whatever is filling that niche for a particular form factor, those are the companies that are really flourishing, and a lot of other companies are just producing a little bit of everything and not really getting true loyalists. So
the waist. Well, I know because you do mostly studio work. The waist view is predominantly for studio work because it's hard to see if you're used to seeing like this and action and such. It's hard to capture that if you're looking down. You don't see things coming in relationships and stuff. It's a more structured view.
No, you can. I mean, didn't Vivian oh gosh, Meyer, didn't she use a twin?
For street shooting?
Street, yeah. She used the Raleigh on the street. Yep.
Yeah.
But she also used Michael on the street too. So
I mean, you one has to be careful not to stereotype what cameras are used for what type of work. I mean, there are people who are using Leica M's for studio work, and conversely, there are people who are using Hasselblad X series cameras for landscape and for street work. So,
oh yeah, no doubt. That was just a off the top observation.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you in the film. In analog photography, it was much more rigid what the uses were, but that was really a factor based on the use of the image, right? You know, or the final, you know, and the
final
shooting
product output. Okay.
Well, you know, magazines. I mean, you're talking about, you know, the idea that you're in a studio and you're creating in a controlled environment as opposed to having to be as facile as you are with a rangefinder.
You know, 6 of 1, but well, like you said, you know, it's the choice of what you want to do with it and how you use it when you do use it. So, all right, I can buy it. I'll buy that. Anything? Was there something about the elephant in the room that caught your eye, or no?
I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You mentioned the elephant in the room.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it didn't make that clear. There's a podcaster whose broadcast is called the Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and he does a lot of camera reviews, excuse me, and lens reviews. Every now and then, a political something political, but he does a lot of reviews. And just this week, he covered what he thought was important about apps and what the issues are. And pretty much, I felt the same way he did prior to that, but I felt obligated to tell you so that people didn't think, oh, you must have seen Hughes. Well, I did, but I felt the same way before that. So.
Hugh, what is his name? Hugh what? Just so we can give him proper. Huh?
Hugh Brownstone.
Brownstone. Okay. All right. Well, we're not stealing this stuff. So, anything else, Mr. Skinner?
No.
This is going to be a short night.
In terms of my dream app, yeah, it's I'd like something dedicated to the cameras that I'm using. That's really about it. That's just Otherwise, I told you guys before, I've used a bunch of other apps for different things, and that's not the photographic experience that I really enjoy as much.
Oh, well, that's another topic, but okay, in 30 seconds, what is it that you do enjoy? Because that's actually the topic that I was thinking about. What spins your wheels about it? But we touched on.
You mean about photography, about using apps?
No, photography. Because I want to make that another topic.
I've alluded to this with every conversation. I really enjoy, using light and a lens and a light-sensitive substrate to create images in a two-dimensional form in a specific aspect ratio. You know what I mean? It's, sometimes it's a square, sometimes it's a stubby rectangle, sometimes it's an elongated rectangle, sometimes it's a more traditional 24 by 36 millimeter format. But at the end of the day, I really enjoy that process. The more control I have over the original capturing environment, the better off I am. And then sometimes if I just walk around and find some stuff, that's enjoyable too, but not as much as if I'm creating with more control over what's in front of the lens.
Control is an illusion. But yeah, I understand. That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So is it my turn?
It's your turn, man.
So we got to know. I did have some photographs. I mean, they aren't specifically connected to an app, but other than that, they are just so varied, and it's kind of partially like, well, what I had in mind was since I have like a lot of interests. If you want to go to like the first image,
I thought we weren't going to use these. Now we are.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, never mind. Never
No,
mind.
no, 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 no. It's fine. It's fine. Give me a sec.
Okay.
File.
Well, seeing as how okay, going back to loop it back to the beginning, just like if money was not an object and I had some coder friends or I could hire a team. Excuse me. What type of a photography app would I create? Now, it's a tall order, no doubt, and we're talking hypothetical. So, I mean, first, Photoshop is like an amazing app. You want to just call it an app or a program, whatever. It can do everything, and everybody else is kind of catching up because you could study Photoshop for years and still, there still would be a gazillion things that you don't know about the program. That's just contrast the basics that the other programs now or other apps are taking pieces of Photoshop and making improvements or making it their own. But I would like to see if I were creating an app, I think it would be kind of a mix between partly what you guys talked about, but definitely something that would be part Meetup, part Facebook, part well, image manipulation, so that I could have a network of curators, museum curators or owners. Did I say museum? Gallery owners and such like that. Be connected to like an arts community, that does a specific type of photography and shows a specific type of photography, so that I wouldn't have to sit in. Okay, because I'm of the three of us, I'm probably the least organized. You guys work, and I don't wear glasses, but I do. I have glasses. Anyway, the wait, yeah, thank you. Hold on, man. If we could do that little app thing, yeah, pass it towards the camera, and then I'll take them. And, hey, thanks, Mark. I really need that.
You're welcome.
But when I sit down in front of my computer, I can literally get lost in these images. And what I start, unless I write down what I want to do, where I want to put it, in 10, 15 minutes, I'll get lost in adjusting the color or the cropping or what I could have done differently, and just change the page without really wanting to. And something like Kenny was saying, something automated, like a one-stop, uploaded. It can probably have to teach it what image I'm looking for, and give me variations, on a theme. If there was one time, oh my God, I was at some flea market, and this guy and his wife or girlfriend or whatever, this couple they had a photography booth, and man, it was like they were just whipping hotcakes out there. People were just coming up and snapping up these things. So I went over and I took a look, and they were okay pictures or okay photographs, but he just slapped a Photoshop watercolor on one, a Photoshop filter of a uh, Stifle, goodness gracious, I'm forgetting all the pointillism, all the dots on one, and people were snapping them up, Is it legit? Sure. End of the day, he's, putting food on his table, or, selling his work, you know. I'd like some options. I'll take a traditional image and I'll look at it and I'm like, okay, should that be a traditional image? Give me some variation, something that would throw it into, several things without going individually in and doing that. So something like that. And, kicking the workout, because some of the stuff, we're traditionally trained. Sometimes I'll take a picture and I'm like, boy, that looks like, something straight out of, Getty stock, kick it out to Getty stock, have a contact, or that's part of the thing. If it's something that's happening,
Yeah. Now, are
then
you saying that the app would tell you what venue or what client should see what you're showing, or how does that how would that work?
well, like Ken said, I mean, I would select the images I wanted to put out there or upload to the app. So then the app would take it and shop it around, kind of shop it. It'd be like kind of like a little agent, like a app agent that could shop the pictures around for me, and because I never know, or I forget when like Nikon is having their photography contest, and I always have images that I would love to submit, but I never remember when they're going to do it.
Well, they have services that do that. There was one I used once called Agency Access, and you can
Okay.
Do you freeze? Oh,
I mean,
You
what you're
froze.
talking about, you're talking about is a mailing list that is integrated to a mail client of some sort. So not a mail client,
right.
but a mail distribution system. I mean, I
Mail
think
and like a
uh,
meetup group, and go ahead.
yeah, you could do what's that thing called? Constant Contact, and you could create your own uh, set of email clients that in that way, and then distribute it if you wished.
Yeah, but again, it would take out, sitting back and setting it up like Ken would say, so that it would be, or like you said, build a macro for it, so they could go and figure, once I get them in order, say, oh, this picture would go good with this. Let me kick this out to this group of people, and this picture is more for that. Let me kick that out to that group of people. Um, I do like the idea of, being able to, like if I shoot it on my phone, it goes up to the cloud and it's on other devices. And the idea of it doing that, if I flip a switch or a toggle or whatever and say, okay, this is one I definitely want to go on Instagram. Just flip a switch, I snap the pictures, and it goes right to Instagram or Facebook, or my mailing list, to museum people, and without really really too much heavy lifting, you or one thing that I was really kind of cool, like Ken. Well, he'll go out and uh, do his Coney Island. What is that series you're doing at Coney Island, Guinea? Coney
Cool.
Island House. Thank you. If you decide you want to do like a live session, it's like, hey, I'm going to shoot the Easter Parade on Fifth Avenue. Well,
Uh,
God knows what that's going to be like after COVID. But I'm going to go live. How do you? It would be nice to have like an app that could, uh, put yours to a series, or the ones you select, not the outtakes, or just you have them all set, so that somebody could watch your photographic process, or you could just upload the photographic process. You see a picture, and you're like, oh, well, not so much. Let me try that a different way. Let me get the light in a different position. Um, Something like that. That would be kind of cool to be able to do a live photo session as it's happening. Like a Facebook Live for stills. Um, I still can't say enough about Photoshop because I used to use Photoshop like every day, and there was always something more to learn about it. The filtration, the things you could do in layers. There's just so much that program could do, and kudos and big ups to Adobe because that program is still evolving, and they're still trying to not dumb it down, but break it down so into like smaller bite-sized pieces. But automating that or coming up with an app that could be customized would be very cool for me. I don't know if that helped any, but that's where I see it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else, guys? Because this is going to be probably the shortest episode we've got so far.
No, I mean, you supplied some images. Do you want to speak to them or in reference to
Um,
the topic or not?
yeah. Go ahead, kick them up. If they're
Okay.
there, what have you got? Um, yeah, like this, I seem to find myself no matter where I go, because I'm a early riser, especially when it comes to a new city or either a new city or a city that I know where I want to be when the lighting is different. Um, yeah, I mean because it says travel, it says the city people would be whatever city it is, they would might be interested in like a public affairs shot of their region. There's people that just love sunrises or sunsets. So you snap this and it would fire off to all the different possible outlets. You could, if you do it and like you're like um, when you guys said somebody was interested in one of the photographs that I had, if it was for sale, heck yeah, I'd sell it. Sure, why not? Why not have a little agent in the camera or in the app that could just fire it off and see if folks are interested in it. It could be a stock image, or like the one previous before this. Do you have all of them up, Ken?
Yeah, yeah.
The New York sunset. This is like all the way across the country. Uh, that one, yeah. It's from the promenade. You know that on the Brooklyn side, Cobble Hill.
So
But
the other one's
sorry.
the Oakland photograph is a sunrise.
Yeah, that's a Bay Bridge. That's a sunrise. Yeah, and
Excuse me.
the one in New York is a sunset. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, stuff like that. You know, um, let's see. Go through the next one. I'm not sure what I've got in there
You've got this
or
one.
why. Yeah, like fashion club stuff. Or street photography things. I kind of get a kick out of photographing photographers. You know, and the things that they do and the level. The one guy's got his line on his back and he's got that upshot. It's a weird angle, and you got the gentleman over there on the left. He's got his lighting rig, and that one. People, you never know what you're going to run into. That one was actually part of the series at the Justice for Junior up in the Bronx. And this woman was just, going up to people. It was like they knew that area had just gone through a trauma, And I would definitely put that in in the stock and for media outlets. And because I'm sure you guys have, um, I've had a couple of people approach me on Instagram and say, "Oh, hey, we really like that picture. We'd like to use it for our news blast or whatever." And if they're paying, fine. If it's just for for a for a byline, fine. But yeah, something that could be like a little agent would be kind of cool. Um, okay.
Excuse me.
Ooh, did that crip? Yeah, Tom. I like that image, but it's like, well, what do you do with it? Is it stock? Is it fine art? Is it street photography? And
Lifestyle.
lifestyle. Yeah, the hip hop dancers and stuff like that. But and traditional. You know, that you know, because I used to do retouching and restoring, and now a lot of them. I mean, this is almost like I won't say passe, but it's a thing you can do with a couple of clicks that, you know, take the color out of everywhere else but where you want it. So uh, it's just a lot. You know, I just had a couple of ideas. I didn't really um, get to see what's out there as far as the other apps, because most of the apps are doing you know, either filters, you know, adding texture, you know, the old reticulation when the, you know, the motion starts coming up.
Mhm.
Um, you know, just there's just so much you can do with it that you know, possibilities are in it. See what's you know, see what's next. I do like the idea of a Wi-Fi. Just shoot it, and it just, you know, shoots it all around, so that by the time you're doing something else, that one of the drawbacks and the biggest thing about apps or so, or from analog to digital, was like, you know, you have to do everything.
Mhm.
You
Well,
load the film, you know, expose
well,
it.
Zeiss
Hmm.
just a camera that is based on the Android operating system that really speaks to a lot of that interoperability. They don't even have an SD card slot; they have a built-in memory, and then you either, you know, transport what you're photographing via Wi-Fi, or you plug it into the computer and transfer it that way.
That doesn't. I still got a pet peeve with PC and Android. Oof, I lost a lot of work, and I almost had like a nervous breakdown because I lost a lot of work from the with my PC due to, you know, not by hackers necessarily, but, you know, second stage hackers, that viruses and such. And I've had no problem for years and years with my iPhone. So yeah, I can understand your point where stuff can get snatched out of the air. It does happen, but you know, platforms are platforms. You work with what you're comfortable with.
Mhm.
Right, because they I don't know if they still sell, but they used to sell a wireless card, an SD card for your camera,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, I still
you know,
have it.
and I
I just
and I
found it.
it was weird because I tried that for one event and then it hit me. I was like, what am I doing? It's like in order to you know, broadcast, in order to, it would save the images on the card, and then
And
it
then
would
send it.
provide connectivity so
But
that you tap
you'd have
into.
to be really sophisticated to be able to pull somebody's images out of the air.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
well,
that it doesn't happen, but I'm saying.
if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, I remember that it was probably password protected, but I don't remember it being password protected. And I shot like one event with it, and I said, you know what? I think I'll pass on this. So
You're a little paranoid there, or you was that like,
yeah,
I mean, somebody wants to steal your picture.
well, you know what it was? I was photographing an event, and it broadcasts itself as, Wi-Fi card. It was one of those kind of things.
Okay.
So, and if you're the only one in the stadium, or the arena or the theater that has that, anybody who looks to see if there's any free Wi-Fi around goes, hey, look, there's a Wi-Fi card. So
You could change the name, but yeah. Well,
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
I guess it's a.
But it was just too. It was once again, it was an item that was really, really good, but it was also set for a closed. It was created for a closed environment, you
Okay.
know. So
So are we there? Are you good, Mr. Nelson?
Yep.
All right. Well, then I guess we can wrap it up. I'm Greg Claycorn with Mark Skinner and Kenneth Nelson. We are the three Black Pratt Rats from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, and we're just talking about if we had resources and a team, could we design our own app? What do you think? You know, give us a holler, leave us a comment, subscribe. Do we have a subscription button yet, King?
Yes.
Yeah, subscribe. You know, leave us a comment, and love to hear from you, and we'll go from there. Okay, till next time. I'm Greg Clayborn. Peace, deuces.